Oh, cursive means you write with the letters that are all connected. Instead of printing A, B, C, D, you write A, B.
Like one line.
One line connects all the letters. And what's been discovered is that there's something called an ideomotor response, because our hands have the greatest wiring connections of our body connected to our brain. So when you write with your hands and you write in cursive and script writing, it enters the programming of your mind. It's how you program things into your mind. It's one way that's known that works for adding content to your mind. It's more effective than if you print, and even more so than if you type, and even more so than if you just think about it. So you want to think about what it is, and then you want to actually write it, because you're a thinking, feeling body that's giving a command to the mind. Right? Because normally, if you want to go for a walk, you put on your shoes and you start walking, because you, the body, wants to go for a walk. Right? Or you want to eat something, or you want to get a massage, or you want to climb a mountain, you want to do something, so then you start and you do it. But thinking happens usually the other way around. The mind starts thinking by itself, independently. That's why your mind runs without stopping. It's like if your feet are starting to run or dance or jump around, and you don't want to do that, if your feet were moving, you'd go see a doctor. Say, doctor, my feet just keep walking all by themselves. What do I do? Oh, you have some sort of disorder. There's something, there's a short circuit somewhere in your nervous system. Why are you, people who twitch or are constantly shaking, right? They'll have a certain syndrome or a certain disorder where their body is constantly shaking and they can't control it. It's like your body is shaking out of control. That's usually considered some form of illness, some form of dis-ease. You're not relaxed at ease, you're not well. So if your body does that, you go see a doctor, but your mind does it 24/7. It's on. And when does it stop? Can you control? Are you capable of just saying, okay, stop now, and it just stops? Or does it just go on and on and on and on, like computer that won't stop spamming email to everyone? Because it's got a virus in it. It just keeps going and going and going and going. So what happens is that our minds, if they don't stop, it's because they've got a virus in them. Something's wrong with them that's making them keep going and going and going, because you were not born with a mind. You were born with a brain. You had a belly button. You could pee. You could drink milk. You could wiggle your toes. You could cry. You could shout, right? But you can't mentate. There's nothing in your head. I mean, there's a brain in your head, but there's no thoughts happening inside of it. There's no thinking process. There's no, who am I? Why am I here? Who are these people? Where did I come from? That doesn't happen to a baby. That happens later. You learn to ask those questions later because everybody else is asking them and they get repeated to you. So our mind's not stopping is a form of madness. You're mad. You're crazy. You're completely crazy. But that's the way we all are. And there's different kinds of madness. There's different types of crazy. There's the dangerous, scary, psycho crazy, and we need to isolate you and put you in a safe place. And then there's just kind of the fun crazy, where your mind just goes off in this direction and goes off in that direction, and you're not going to hurt anyone. Not intentional. You might have an accident and you might hurt someone, or you might hurt yourself, right? But you're not like out to hurt anyone. You just have a mind that just keeps going on. So it's just a bad program. And that program can be cleared up. It can be cleaned up. It can be dropped. And it can be replaced with a better program. Just like on your phone or your laptop on this computer, when there's a problem with it, you can update the operating system, right? You get firmware updates all the time to help with email or with pictures or with Facebook or whatever it is you're doing, right? So think of your mind as the software for your thinking, feeling body. And if you're born in a little village in the mountains in the Himalayas, you have a different operating system than if you're born in the jungles of Southeast Asia, or if you're born in New York City or Moscow or in a little town somewhere. It depends on where you are. You're going to get different operating system, right? If you guys were born in, I don't know, Bolivia, we'd be having this conversation in Spanish, right? Because I can speak Spanish. If I was born somewhere in Russia, we could be doing it in Russian. But I didn't pick up that language. I wasn't given that imprint. If I do, then eventually I can start thinking that way, right? Does that make sense? So your mind is the operating system that you receive as a child. And the nature of this operating system is that because you're a baby and because you don't know what's right or wrong, a baby will find a scorpion, grab it, and put it in its mouth. Or play with it, or a spider. It doesn't know what it is. It's just like, oh, what is that? Well, puts it in its mouth. Because a baby will put anything in its mouth. A baby will swallow a pearl or a diamond. Or pick up a piece, a little lizard poop or something like that, right? It's like, what's that? Put it in its mouth. It doesn't know. A baby can walk out of a window. And everyone's, all around the world, little babies die because they end up falling out of windows. Right? If you don't put a barrier or next to the steps. We had a little baby staying with us for a while, and we had to protect the areas around here so that the baby, because it could accidentally just fall out. There's no fear. It has no fear of heights. It doesn't even know what it's like to fall. It just slips, and it falls. So a baby needs an external control device. All babies need a way of being controlled from the outside. Go this way, come that way. No, stop. It stops. Right? Yes, come, let's go. Come, baby, come, stand up. Oh, look how beautiful you are. Come, have a walk, right? No, right? So we use pleasure and pain to teach a baby which way to go. Right? And we control them externally. And your mind is an external control mechanism. The mind that's given to all children has to be that way because no baby can think for itself. Not to survive in the world that we live in. Right? You put a baby in a room with, Lego blocks and Barbie dolls and whatever it is, right? Toys and cars, and the baby can think for itself and it'll grab crayons and mix colors and do all sorts of things. But that doesn't mean it has the skills to walk across the street or go get a job. That's going to take many years. In that time, your parents need to be able to guide you. Right? And that's what your mind is. It's an external device. They say a word, they give you a look, there's a tone of voice, and you respond. Because if you respond the right way, you get a piece of chocolate. If you respond the wrong way, you get slapped. Or pinched or shouted. Hit, right? You experience this. And you see how people do this, right? So this is your child mind. All children have a mind like this. And what used to happen in the past, if you go back to the Aboriginals from the Amazon jungle, or the outback in Australia, I'm sure there's tribes up in the Siberian tundra, there's places where when a child reaches puberty, when it reaches 12, 13, 14, at some age, the child is told to go out and figure yourself out. You're an adult now. Go on a walkabout. Go into the jungle. Go hunt a polar bear. Go build a hut somewhere and live alone by yourself out in nature for a month or something like that. All by yourself. Whatever we told you, doesn't matter. You figure it out. If you live, come back with something for the village, and we'll now see you as an adult. So there was a built-in ritual or process, a turning of age process, right? Where the child has to go out into its world, into its environment, and which is a deadly environment, and figure itself out on its own. Now it comes back as an adult. We don't do that so much. We don't do it that way. What was figured out is that if you keep a person in their child mind, you can control them forever with their fears and their desires. Does that make sense? So unless you've had a chance to completely stop and drop your child mind, the roots of your mind, of how you see or are the roots of a child. The newborn baby is still within you. The 6-month-old that learns to be angry is within you. The 2-year-old that's in mind, that aspect of who you are is there. That personality is there. Those are the deepest roots of your mind, are the parts that learned ma, pa, pa. Right? Those parts are still there. And those parts are being controlled. Like, that's 80% of your mind. 90% of your mind is the first 4 or 5 years of your life. Is 90%. What grows on top of that is what you add to it. But that's little. And your mind stops developing. It reaches the maximal level of complexity at puberty. So somewhere around 12, 14 years old, that's when your mind stopped developing. And now it gets layers and layers for every year that you're alive, right? So if you're 32 and your mind stopped at 12, you've been 12 for 20 years. And if you're 102, well, then you've been 12 for 90 years. Which is why you see adults going crazy, changing their lives, doing all sorts of things to buy a car because there's a sexy girl in a bikini in it. Or buy a bag because it gives the woman an impression of being independent and strong and sexy, and their desires to be seen as such. But only a 12-year-old mind can be tricked into buying something because there's some fear or desire. An adult mind can't be tricked into doing that. So our entire system doesn't work for adult minds. It only works for child minds. And people have different stages of development. Some people get stuck at age 5 or 6. Those people are usually good for police jobs, military jobs. They'll follow orders because their mental development stops at a certain level. Right? Does that make sense? So that your mental development will stop at some point. You can add things to it. I can add apps to this computer, but for example, I have an old laptop that is out of series, out of date, so they don't make, it has an old chip, so they don't make any new software for it. So I can't put the latest version on the old laptop that I have. Right? It's reached a limit. I have an iPhone 5 that there's no upgrade for it anymore. There's no more firmware. It's stuck where it is. And this is what happens to us. You have your operating system that was given to you by your family, your culture, your society. Right? And it stopped developing when you were 12, 13, 14. That's when it stopped. And you're not going to have a new one until you install a new one. Just like I'm not going to have a new, operating system on my phone. If I disconnect it from the internet and I don't do the software update, it doesn't update. It just stays where it's at. And someone will develop, more apps and games, and I can add more pictures, and I can add more music to it. And as long as the format of the audio files or the JPEGs or the MP3s, MP4s, as long as that's still in use, then I can still use my iPhone 1. But it can't do what the iPhone 10 or 11 will do, right? And one day the iPhone 20 will come out, and then the iPhone 18 and 19 and everything below will be obsolete. So you're using an operating system that's obsolete, which is why it's hard to get forward. So what I've learned how to do, and what we teach people how to do, and what I recommend, is that you complete the mind that you have. Finish the thoughts that it has, which is the equivalent of you're going to download a new operating system for your smart device. And now, what does it ask you to do? Please close all your applications. Excel is open. Please close this file. Would you like to save this file? Would you like to save the updates on your Word files? Would you please close your iTunes? Would you please close your whatever it is, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, right? Whatever you're doing, it's going to say, please stop what you're doing and close everything. Download the new program, and then we're going to do a reset, and don't touch anything while we're doing the reset. Don't touch any buttons. Don't try to start it. Leave it plugged in, right? That's That's how you update your iPhone or your Samsung or your whatever it is, right? Right? So what if it's the same for you? It is. It's exactly the same. You have to do the same. You have to finish the thoughts that you have in your head, which there's about 1 million of them. So it takes a little bit of time, and you have to want to do it, because if I have 1 million pages open and they all need, do I save this? Do I save that? There's an edit, there's an update, there's an amend, right? Then I have to go through one by one, because I want to make sure that everything is completed. And then I close each window one by one. Eventually, I've closed down all the windows, I've shut all the apps. Now, my smart device is ready for the next step, which is I'm going to update the operating system. But I can't update the operating system and shut it down while it's rendering a video on. Right? I can't do that. It has to stop, because it's going to lose. You're going to lose things. Right? So your mind will not turn off until it's complete. And the most important thing to understand about this process is that your mind has to shut off, because your mind comprehends. It understands. Your mind comprehends that 1 + 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, and I need to complete all of my thoughts so I can update myself so I can be a better mind. When you understand that, then your mind can assist in the process. So my job is to give you the information to your mind. I'm talking to your mind, right? So that you can understand, you can think about, oh, what if I've got time? What if I just finished my thoughts, cleared my emotions, got my body healthy, and then let's see what this crazy man is saying. Maybe something happens. And if not, your body's healthy, you're unrepressed emotionally, and your thoughts are complete. So your life is instantly going to get better, right? Even if nothing happens, just the fact that you're in a healthy body, clear emotions, and a mind that's up to date, that alone, how can it not improve the quality of your life? Being in a healthy body that feels good, emotions that are free, you don't feel anything unless there's a reason to feel it. There's no anger, sadness, guilt, shame from the past. All of that is just done. You finish the story, you close the book, you put it back away. Right? You finished watching all the series, the Game of Thrones, the telenovelas, you've gotten to the end. Right? There's a happy ending, click, it's finished, now you reset yourself. Now you start your life brand new and fresh, in a healthy body, clear emotions, and a mind that's 100% clear and ready to think about all sorts of fun things to think about. All sorts of creative things, things that can generate abundance, things that can make the world a better place. All of this is now available to you. Or does that sound crazy? Am I saying something that sounds stupid? Because the opposite is poison your body more so you get sicker. Don't worry, there's painkillers. And if those don't work, there's ketamine, there's, you can drink alcohol, there's lots of, marijuana is being legalized all over the world. You can get a prescription, you can do CBD oil, you can vaporize THC, you can, right? And then your emotions. Fake it till you make it. Just pretend to be happy. Just keep doing that. Just step up. If there's a monster inside of you, just kill it. Just knock it down. Cut its head off. Just push it down. You're stronger. You can do this. And your body, don't worry about it. Like, you what do you want to end up? You want to end up with a body that's never been used? Just go into it. Don't worry about it. Doctors will help you. Someone will help you, edit your genes so that you can live forever. Don't worry about that. We have stem cells to replace. If you hurt yourself, if you just keep doing the same stupid thing and you hurt yourself, don't worry. We can inject you with stem cells. We have new therapy. We can put electrodes on your head and reprogram your brain, and then this will, change how you express your genes. And we're working on making a superhuman in the lab, so you don't worry about that. Don't pay any attention to your body. You tell your body what to do. And your emotions, just keep going. Be happy. Every morning, wake up and do your happy yoga. I am happy, we are happy, I am happy. Write down, I am happy 1,000,000 times. You can do that. Just keep doing it. And your thoughts, money, more money. You need more money. You need power. You need to be important. Make yourself important. Create an image. Fake it till you make it. Pretend to be the authority on someone. Be the expert and just go out there and just do it. There's millions of people that will send you money. Don't worry about it. Those are the two directions that people tend to go in, right? You either fake it till you make it, or you just put everything on pause and you clean yourself up and start over. Spring cleaning, tune up. And the one thing I can tell you is that I like waking up in a healthy body. I really do. It feels great. I just, yeah, that's not an option for me. Number 2, trapped emotions, repressed emotions. No, not interested. Simply not interested. Why would I want to have repressed emotions about anything? Free range, full dynamic range of emotions. I want to be as happy as possible, as sad as possible, as angry as possible. Depending on the situation, I accept whatever comes my way. And my mind. All the thoughts that were given to me by my parents, my teachers, my preachers, by society, all the ones that are useless, I drop them. I'm not interested in useless thoughts. Yes, there are thoughts that are stupid thoughts. Well, the thought isn't stupid, but repeating it over and over again makes you stupid, makes me stupid. So I'm not going to have it. And I want a mind that works when I need it to, for what it's good at, can learn new things. Right? Mind is good at comparing and contrasting and recognizing patterns. So I want a mind that can recognize patterns of abundance. Right? I want a mind that looks at something and goes, "Ooh, that's really valuable. Wow, it's covered in, but it's valuable." Right? Imagine you see a diamond and it's got, the dog swallowed a diamond, right? The diamond ring, and there it is, and there's a big pile of dog poop, and there's a little shiny thing, and you're not going to touch it, you're not going to clean it up. You're going to clean it up, and then you'll wash your hands. It's just dog shit, who cares, right? Wash your hands, you found a diamond. So your mind is full of diamonds covered in crap thoughts. If you start clearing out and you throw away you don't keep the dog poop, you keep the diamond. You bury it somewhere. You just, recycle, repurpose it, right? Does that make sense? So now you've got a healthy body, clear emotions, and a mind that doesn't have any worries, any problems with anything that's done in the past. Or 99% of your past is clear. Now you can use it for whatever you want to do here and now, with an eye out to what the potential future may be. Right? Does that make sense? That makes your life instantly better, being able to do that. So for me, there's nothing more important than getting to that space. Getting to that space where you're going to get your body in shape, clear your emotions, because they're just emotions. They're not your emotions. They are emotions. And you don't have any emotions that a cat or a dog or a monkey doesn't have. Nothing special about your emotions. They're mammalian emotions. Mammals have these types of emotions. Reptiles have different types of emotions, have less emotions. But you have a reptilian brain. You have fight or flight. That's the first thing. When we're born, the first thing we have is flight. We cry and scream and run, try to avoid a problem. And then as soon as we're strong enough, now we can fight. Right? Somewhere in between, we learn how to smile and relax. And then eventually, we're going to have higher emotions, more complex emotions like love, because we're going to need to take care of our babies. This is why most parents see their baby and instantly fall in love with their baby. It's part of sex. It's a biological reaction. A child needs to, no matter what it looks like, needs to be loved by its parents. Otherwise, it doesn't live. Right? So there's an instinct, a maternal instinct, a paternal instinct. You see a child, you pick it up. And mammals do this. How many stories are there of children raised by wolves? Right? Or, I don't know, a chicken that finds a duck egg and it hatches and now it adopts the duck, or a goat that adopts a puppy, or a lion that adopts a baby. There's a beautiful story of sad story of a lioness that she loses her cub. And then she goes to hunt, and her cub has just died. And she goes to hunt, and she finds a baby gazelle. And it's about the same size, and it has the same smell, so she adopts it. And of course, they both get into trouble because she can't take care of the baby gazelle, and she can't eat. And then another lion comes in, a male comes in, and the male wants to eat the baby gazelle because that's like, it's like a little sandwich just waiting for him. It's soft, delicious, just waiting. And has to fight the mama lion that's protecting it because the mama is convinced. There's another beautiful video I saw of a leopard. A female leopard that has just entered the age where she can mate. And she hunts a baboon. And a baboon is a fierce animal for a leopard. And she kills the baboon and drags it up a tree and is about to start eating it, and she discovers a newly born, one-day-old baby baboon. So, and hyenas come. Her maternal, and she smells the smell of this day-old baby. It's the smell that triggers her maternal instincts. She fights the hyenas off, grabs the baby, climbs a tree, and leaves the adult dead baboon for the hyenas to eat. And she sits there looking at it and licking it. I've seen this video. I have it somewhere online. These are maternal instincts. They're part of our biology. So I have them. You have them. Right? We can take care of a child. But all mammals do that. There's nothing special about it. Except mammals actually stay healthy. They don't repress their emotions, so they don't go mad. It's us humans that go mad because we have learned to repress our emotions. And you can't repress an emotion. If it's an energy, if you try to block an energy, it's going to come out somewhere else. Right? If you try to block the sun, you'll block it, but then you'll get hot. The light might not come through, but the heat will come through. The energy will still come through. Right? If you block your emotions, it's going to come out in some other way. What happens is that it goes straight to your mind, and it activates your mind. And then you create something that are known as sentiments. Sentiments. Emotions are what the body feels in the moment because something happens and there's a burst of joy or a burst of anger or a burst of laughter or a burst of tears. These are your emotions that just come out in the moment. So your emotions come out in the moment, but then your mind creates a story about it. So you remember it was a full moon and you were with that favorite person of yours and your favorite song came on, so then you felt love, and now you try to hold on to this. Right? That's a sentiment. Or you imagine what it was like to be happy when you were happy 10 years ago or something, and then you bring that into today and you want to imagine what it's like to be a happy person. That's a sentiment. It's not an emotion. And it's a psychological, it's a copy. It's a photocopy. And people confuse their emotions for their sentiments. So what happens is that our mind has this amazing capacity to take the pictures that it receives, the images of reality that it receives, and then create its own story with it. And then the body can't tell the difference because it's the same image. So then our minds you have a body image. There's a picture in your mind somewhere of what you're supposed to look like. And what you think you look like. And if that image doesn't match, then you're unhappy about yourself. So you have to do this or do that, or you end up doing nothing because you get depressed about it. Right? So there was an interesting study that was done with women that had anorexia nervosa. They were thin, like a bamboo, like chopsticks. They were so crazy thin. And they were convinced that they were fat. So what they did is they got these women, and the study I saw, there was, I remember 8 or 10 of them, and they were able to convince them to take pictures of them wearing bikinis. Well, that was hard enough to do, to get them in a yellow bikini and to take a picture of them. So then they took a picture of these girls, of these women, in their yellow bikinis. Then they took pictures of different women in the same yellow bikini, but the women were anywhere from normal, medium to obese, wearing the same yellow bikini. Then they took the picture of the big one, the big fat ones, with the same yellow bikini, and they cut the picture of the head, and they copied it, and they pasted the head of the anorexic thin girl that looks like a chopstick on the one that looks like a tomato. So each woman, like I take a picture of you, right? Take a picture of you, click, and then I take a picture of other bodies, and I cut your head, and I put it on top of the other pictures, and I say, which one's you? Guess which one they all pick. This is me, look how fat I am. And it's like, you're a bamboo. No, I'm a giant pumpkin. It's like, that's how they see themselves. Their mind creates a body image, and they're stuck in their body image. So they're torturing themselves, and they're way too thin. They actually need to put a little meat on. They need to fatten up a little bit to be healthy. You can be too heavy and unhealthy, but you can be too thin and unhealthy too. The body needs a certain amount of fat, a certain body mass to function properly, right? But people look in the mirror, and what do they see? Whatever their mind is projecting. How crazy is that? And while your mind is on, you're projecting your image of your mind on top of reality. That's Maya, not you. But in the East, that's what is known as Maya, which is basically what I'm going to call AR, augmented reality. And you saw it yesterday, because what does your mind do to the picture of your nose? How many times have you seen your nose in the last 24 hours? Did you remember? Have you seen it again? You forgot it immediately, right? Right. So if you had a picture in your body that said that you need to be, you need the proportions of a Barbie doll, and you believe in your mind that you're, an extra large size plus, and that's what you see when you look in the mirror. You take a selfie and you look at yourself, and I'm so fat, I'm so big, I'm so ugly, my nose is so big, or my nose is too small, or my skin is too white, or my skin is too dark. So then you put all these chemicals and poisons, and right? Like here in Thailand, women have the cutest little noses. They get nose enhancement surgery. Yeah, they want bigger noses. And then in other places, there's people that my nose is too big, it's horrible. So they get nose reduction surgery. Right? And then there's other people that get breast enhancement surgery. And then others are like, my breasts are too big, so they get breast reduction surgery. It's just, I understand if somebody has had a cancer or a disease, and they want to reconstruct their body, that's something to consider, right? If my face was smashed in an accident, I'd probably get my nose rebuilt. I wouldn't want to look like... But that's different from looking in the mirror and taking a picture and going, wow, I'm not the way that I think I'm supposed to be. And they see the picture. So imagine taking a picture of yourself and pasting it on your mirror. So let's pretend you're an unhappy person that wants to pretend you're happy. You find the best picture of yourself, nice big, and you print it out and you paste it on your mirror, and then you look at it, and every time you look, you see that happy smile. And the fact of the matter is that you're unhappy, you're miserable. But now you just see what you want to see. So some people only want to see happy, so they push and they force their minds to create that picture of seeing themselves happy. And other people only chase after the negative things, after the dark things. So all they see is the ugly, the dirty, the yucky. They're always trying to improve themselves. So this is a body image. So you're going to want to map out, I'm going to call it a territory of mind. I'm going to say your mind has different territories that it is projecting into and invading. And the mind should not be projecting anything on the body. The body should be looking in the mirror and seeing what's there, and then based on what it's seeing, it should decide how it feels and how it looks, and do I look good? Do I look tired? I look so tired. Well, I'm going to go to bed. No, I look terrible. I'm going to put makeup on so I look better. Right? Or I'm not happy with the shape of my body, so I'm going to modify my diet, exercise a little more. Right? Or I'm just going to pretend. I'm going to fake it. I'm going to get pectoral implants so that I've got big, strong chests, and I can get balloons put in my arms. And yeah. So we have a body image. I recommend and I advise to people to map out every thought you have about your body. You need to just map it out. Some of them are uncomfortable. I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm not enough of this, I'm not enough of that. But this is the programming, these are the viruses that keep us sick. In our minds. Your body is what it is. You can see, you can hear, you can breathe, you can eat, you can walk, you can dance. And we're all different. Your eyes are a little like that, your nose is a little like that. Your skin, your different body parts, the different bits and parts of your body. They're uneven, one side's a little bigger than the other. Right? You're not the idealized, photoshopped, supermodel Barbie doll image that society wants you to have. No, you're not. Every once in a while you find someone who is. Okay, I don't know. Good for them, lucky for them, or unlucky for them. It depends on what they do with it, right? So you're a unique individual, and whatever ideas you have about your body, well, if they match with the reality of your body, you're in good shape. If they don't match the reality of your body and you follow them, well, you're being an idiot. Just the nicest way to say it is that this is idiocy. It's like you're following an idea. Just, who are you? Just see you and accept yourself the way that you are. For some of us, that's the hardest part. For women, this is a big challenge. You're bombarded with imagery. Now, modern men today have a certain challenge with body imagery that wasn't as strong when I was growing up. It's stronger now. But you're going to have an entire section of your mind where it's going to be thinking about the body and what's wrong with the body and what the body is supposed to look like. So you want to be aware of what that is. You want to write all of those things out, map them out, because these are all of the thoughts you have, and they interfere. You shouldn't carry a body image in your mind of what your body's supposed to look like. You should simply look in the mirror and go, oh, I'm here right now, and I'm going to do whatever makes this body healthiest. This body's healthiest when it has a little bit of fat on it. I need to be able to pinch a little fat. This body is more sensitive, healthier, and feels better. I still stay strong, I still dance, I still exercise, I walk up and down the hills, right? I can carry things, I have my yoga practice, I swim. But I'm not going to follow the image of what society expects me to have, because I don't care what society wants. Society is a construct. It's a construct. Yeah, there's no such thing as society, there's just a bunch of individuals. There's no such thing as a dozen. There's 12 of something, and then there's 12 eggs. So there's a dozen eggs, but can you put a dozen in a box and send it to me? A dozen what? Just a dozen. A dozen dozens. A dozen of what? Right? Society. Which society? It's an idea. It's a mental construct. Right? So at the very core image, there's a body that if it has eyes that are working, you look, and you need to know yourself. And this is something that primates can do. In other words, you put a mirror in the forest, and some animals, like a bird, will come and see it, and it'll start attacking. Right? Other animals will try to go behind, and what's there? There must be something behind. And then you get a chimpanzee, and a chimpanzee looks. It tries to figure out. The funniest thing it does is it turns around. It tries to look at its butt. It's like, what is this? Yeah, because they can recognize, they see the image and they go, whoa, that's me. No. I've got videos of that. And they go around and they look at their butt. They're like, well, what's over there? I've always wondered, who's behind me, right? They're like, so a chimpanzee will do that. These are our closest cousins going back at least 6 million years. So our capacity to recognize ourselves is built in. It's part of our nervous system. It's part of our wiring. But what matters is that we keep that pure, keep that simple. Simply look in the mirror and see where you're at, and then the body can decide what it wants to do about it. Okay, I want to get a little stronger, I want to lose a little weight, or I want to fatten up a little bit, or wherever I need to be. Right? For example, next month we're going to go, we're going on a trip, and we're going to a place that's going to be cold in the mountains in Peru. So we told our daughter, it's 10, you want to start fattening up a little bit. Why? You're going to be chilly. She's a jungle girl, so she gets cold, and you're going to be in the mountains in Peru. You're going to get cold. We're going to buy you special clothes. We're going to take you shopping and buy you the best technology clothes, the gear, right? But you're going to want to get yourself a little bit fatter. Trust me. You'll thank me for it later, and you'll lose the weight later. Don't worry about it. She's cute. But you want to get a little chubbier because it's gonna make a difference. You'll stay warmer, sweetie. Yeah, trust me. You want to get a little fatter for this.
Has she seen the llama?
Not a live one, no. Of course, I get to meet one. Yeah. Right. So same. If I'm gonna climb a mountain, hike across a desert, right? Go on a trek, sail across an ocean, I might fatten up a little bit too, just in case, because there might be an emergency, right? But I'm living in climate-controlled city I'm a phone call away from Thai food, Chinese food, pizza delivery, whatever I want. I don't need to fatten up. I can just eat as needed. There's going to be a winter, an emergency, a problem. Sure, I'll fatten up. Yeah, does that make sense? So you can be a body that's in the moment. And what you want to do is you want to get your mind out of it. The mind is micromanaging the body, and it's creating problems for the body. It's deciding what the body needs to eat, right? So I need to eat these foods, or I'm not going to eat. I don't eat chicken like that famous cousin, or I'm a vegetarian. Why? Because my family's a vegetarian, and I come from 20 generations of vegetarians. Okay, great, but what if your body actually needs a little bit of meat now and then to function properly? Nope, I'm going to stay a vegetarian. Or no, I'm omnivorous, I'm going to eat my whole life omnivorous. What if your body doesn't need it anymore? What if your body just needs some nuts, some seeds, some vegetables, right? An egg once in a while, maybe a yogurt, a piece of cheese. Why not just give it what it needs? And just practice. And then later you decide, oh, this really works for me. Or, okay, I'm just going to listen to my body. I am the body. I'm just going to eat what I need to eat. And what's that? Whatever's most delicious. Before, during, and after. Right? Does that make sense? And there's ways, I mean, you just know. You have to live it. It's a direct experience. There's no philosophy here. There's just a protocol, recipe, strategies, right? I'm just giving you a list of strategies. Figure out what works for you as a body. And then whatever you have, accept it. The color, the texture, the shape, the size of all your visible and invisible bits and body parts. It's what God gave you. It's your gift. It was given to you for free. You didn't have to pay for it. And there it is. And one of the things I've noticed is that people who are healthy and happy are just naturally beautiful. Just naturally beautiful. When you're happy and relaxed and healthy, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. How else can you be? Right? It's in your eyes. It's a quality. Beauty is an inner quality. Right? There's physical proportions that are more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, right? Somebody who's got a face that's like, that might look a little strange, but however you turned out, as long as you take care of it, when this body is happy and healthy and relaxed, it has a natural beauty to it. Just like there aren't really any ugly flowers in the world, or really authentically any ugly animals or creatures. I mean, there's some things that look a little strange. There's some deep sea fish that are like, I wouldn't want to meet one face to face. But they have their own beauty in their own crazy, monstrous way. So just accept yourself. Because when you accept yourself, you're no longer trying to change yourself. And I'm going to say something that is really important, okay? When you recognize that the mind that you have isn't serving you as well as it could be, that it's creating resistance, that it's creating problems, that it's keeping you unhappy, that it's keeping you unhealthy, then you need to figure out what you need to do to complete it. Once it's complete, it drops away by itself.
What do you mean complete?
It needs to, all your thoughts need to be finished. Everything you need to accept it. You need to accept it as a gold nugget, as a little diamond, as a little pearl of wisdom, or as trash, junk, spam, and you accept it as such. If I accept the trash, and I throw it away. Right? I accept the poop that comes out of my body every day. I accept it for what it is. I don't have any problem with it, but I flush it down a toilet and wash my hands and keep myself clean. I'm not like, ew, gross. Like, everybody poops. Just you have it, so why not accept it, right? Look at it. Okay, it looks healthy. Okay, it smells. Okay, that's what it smells like. That's what it looks like. And now I got it a little bit on me, so now I got to wash myself. So I'm going to use soap and water and clean myself. Right? And now I'm clean. And there's no, it's part of life. Right? Same with every body part. This part's bigger, this part's smaller. Somebody says this part of the body down here is bad and yucky and dirty and shameful, and I'm going to go to hell for looking at it or touching it. It's like, well, what if that's just an idea? And I just accept that this is what I have. So there's something valuable about standing in front of a mirror naked and looking at yourself. And just studying every little bit of yourself. Studying, just like the monkey. Look in the mirror, turn around, and look at your butthole. What does that look like? Wow, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Okay, but it's me. So this is what I've got. Right? And my foot turns a little to the right, and I got to remember to straighten it out when I'm walking, and... Right? You complete your mind in all areas. So whatever you need to do to accept yourself, it starts first by just being aware of yourself. Because you are a body that is born thinking and feeling, and then it has a mind that was given to it. It was given to you by your parents, by your society. You imprinted it. Just like a little white sponge falls into a puddle of water, and it soaks up everything that's in the water. So that's one territory of mind. All the ideas, the pictures, the images, the stories, the desires, the fears, the hopes, the dreams you have about your body. And accepting yourself as a body that was born with everything it has, all the perfect imperfections, all the things that make you a unique individual. That's a necessary step in the process. Right? It's something that needs to be completed. And you need to be able to look in the mirror and just directly see what's there. And it helps to be able to look in the mirror, and you look at your nose in the mirror and you see the outline of your nose a while, and then you see your eyes blinking, and you notice yourself, and you notice that you have a little scar, a little cut, and, a little pimple, a hair growing out. I get these hairs that grow out of the strangest places, and don't grow in the other places. Does that make sense? And then you do the same thing for your emotions. All the thoughts, all the ideas, all the values you have about your emotions are interfering with your emotions. Mind is interfering in areas it shouldn't be interfering. Mind has ideas, values, and thoughts about everything in life. Your body, your emotions, about your mind, about love, about life, about sex, about God, about spirit, about death, about money, about business, about family, and relationships. And very few of these things actually apply to the mind. Business is a mental thing. Money is a mental thing. Insurance and visas and bank payments and credit card payments, these are all mental things. But what your body needs is what your body needs. And your mind should be out there helping your body get the highest quality of what it needs. It has no business, no say, commanding the body what to do. Same, emotions. You have a range of emotions. And if any of them are trapped or repressed, they're all trapped and repressed, and you're going to be in trouble. Because it's a mental projection. It's an idea imposing itself on something that is natural. It's God-given, it evolved. However you want to think about it, makes no difference. Think about it in a way that allows you to go, all animals have this is how I evolved, so I am an animal and I must accept it. Or, God gave me this, so I believe and I have faith and trust in God, so I have to accept it. Who am I to try to improve on what God created? Yeah? Does that make sense? So whichever story you need to tell yourself, your story needs to be complete, and then your mind folds. So whatever is incomplete in your mind, complete it. Right? Does that make sense? And whatever your mind does with your emotions, it's interfering. Emotions are autonomous. Your emotions should not need to be controlled or modified or judged or labeled or valued by your mind in any way. You should just be observing that. Wow, I got really angry when this happened. That's interesting. I wonder why. Right? And yes, sometimes you need to bite your tongue so that you don't say something that can get you hurt unnecessarily, because you're surrounded by people that are all lost in their mind and unhappy and unhealthy and repressed and crazy, and saying everything you think and feel in the moment might get you slapped, right? Or put in jail in some parts of the world. There's parts of the world where you can't say what you feel about what's going on because you get put in jail. You get sent to a gulag somewhere. Yeah? So that's the reality of the world that we live in. So there's going to be some minor hold your emotions, but of what's happening in the moment, not because you've repressed them your entire life. It's very easy to just maintain if you have nothing that's repressed and something happens and it's a potential trigger to get angry, you just notice it and you're like, this is not appropriate. It would be dangerous for me to get angry right now, so I'm just going to hold it in. But that's not repressing yourself. That's not repressing an emotion. That's just holding a space, right? So your mind can help you for that. Your mind can say, ooh, this is not the place to have a tantrum. Right? You'll lose the business deal, you'll offend the judge or whatever, right? Does that make sense? But these are minor. It's very rare that you're in a situation where you hold yourself. Then there's going to be all the thoughts in your mind, about psychology. And I'm going to make a statement, which is that if psychology and psychiatry knew the first thing about mind, that it's just content, that it's just programming, and that there's a higher awareness, they would be different. The fields of psychology and psychiatry don't have this information. They're just discovering it. Everyone is operating from their mind. They don't realize that the mind is something that can be dropped and recreated. So they're trying to fix and patch and prescribe medicines and treatments for something that can't be fixed. Because even if your mind was completely virus-free, the healthiest mind possible, once you've reached puberty, that mind is out of date. It's a child mind, and it's not an adult mind. And if you're an adult, you need an adult mind to function properly. If you keep a child mind, you will not function at your peak potential. That's all. So you get a caterpillar that comes out of an egg. It's a tiny little thing. It crawls around, climbs plants, it eats green leaves, it gets long, nice, big, fat, and juicy. And at some point it reaches a certain size, and it realizes, right, automatically, unconsciously, there's an awareness that it's reached the right size, and now it finds a place to hang itself in a cocoon that it spins around itself. Now it's going to pull itself apart. All the Lego blocks, all the pieces that put that caterpillar together are going to come apart, and then they're going to come back together and grow and develop into a butterfly, for example. right? Or a dragonfly, or whatever is coming out of the little egg, the little cocoon. Yeah. You can use two if you want. Now imagine if that caterpillar came out and it still thought, if that butterfly came out and it still thought it was a caterpillar. So it never stretches its wings and it crawls around and it tries to, I don't know, eat the green leaves. No, it doesn't think it's a fly. It has wings, but it doesn't use them because caterpillars don't fly. And it hates itself because it's only got 6 legs instead of, 50 legs or whatever a caterpillar has. And it's trying to eat the leaves, but it can't because it doesn't have teeth. It has a tongue. It can just lick because it's just, butterflies are here to fly, be beautiful, lick flowers, and make love. I mean, that's really the purpose of a butterfly, is to be beautiful, and lick flowers, pollinate, and make more beautiful butterflies. What a nice life. But it's convinced that it has the mind of a caterpillar, so what's it going to do? It's going to crawl up trees and try to eat leaves. Now, our transformation isn't physical as such, obviously, we grow pubic hair and breasts and, right, can reproduce and facial hair, and these are our voice changes, right? And these are some of the things that happen when you transition in puberty. So it's not like we actually grow physical wings, but metaphysically, psychologically, we're ready for a much higher level of thinking, of creating. Our imagination can take flight in ways that a child cannot. So we need the mind that works for us as adults. And we want to drop the mind that was given to us as children. It got you to here. And you can just look at yourself and you go, look, all my body parts are here, or most of them, or maybe I lost part of a finger, right? Or I had surgery and everything's here and everything's working. And yeah, I wish I had a bigger this or a smaller that, but all right, it is what it is. Now let's just make the best of it. And now what do I need? Oh, well, I need a mind that matches. And how do I replace the operating system in my smart device? Well, I save all the opened files, I close all the windows, I shut down all the apps, and then I can stop and reboot, right? And update to a higher level. And this is what needs to happen to us humans. So what I'm sharing with you is the information that any normal, healthy human needs to be able to do this for themselves. You just need to take time, find somewhere lovely, eat the food that's yummiest, journals, pencils, papers, a pillow to beat up, a towel to bite into and rinse off after going for a swim where you put your head underwater and scream, a mirror so you can look at yourself, right? And just start mapping yourself out. Give the body what it needs, release the emotions, and start clearing the thoughts. So the thoughts about mind and about our mental health, see them, write them down, see what they are. There's some misconceptions. For example, it's misunderstood that a mind that doesn't stop is a mind that is unwell. This is a fact. If your mind doesn't stop all by itself, it means it's triggering itself to keep running, and it's not healthy. It's not sane. A sane mind can stop. So the first thing to accept is that, hey, I'm a little crazy. I've got some madness in me. My mind won't stop. I wonder what I'm going to do. It's not like you can stop it. We're all a little bit crazy. We're all a little bit mad. But it's like hair. We all have different amounts and qualities and thicknesses and colors and length and, of hair in different parts of our body. So we have all these little poisons and toxins and psychological mistakes, little viruses. And we need to figure out what they are and just start, like hairs that you don't want, you got to start pulling them out. Right? We get divided, we get cut from childhood. Our mind gets cut. For example, and we're going to talk about this more when we get into the sex territory. But psychologically, The moment we're born, we're gender identified. It's a boy, congratulations. It's a boy, congratulations. It's a girl. And then we get treated as a boy, a baby boy or a baby girl, and talked to and told what we are before we're old enough to figure it out and discover it for ourselves. Because babies, for the first 3, 4, 5 years of their lives, if you don't tell them they're boy or girl, they don't really know. Like if you raise children wearing, with gender neutral names, and here are all the different colors. Put on whatever you like the most, right? You're putting on this pajama or that pajama, pink, blue, yellow, red, green, purple. Put on whatever you want. What do you like, right? And then at some point, I remember when it happened to me. I was about 3 years old, 3.5 years old, almost 4, and I was out in the park with my little friend, who happened to be a girl, and she was my age, and I needed to pee. So I was standing, and I pulled down my zipper, and I started peeing, and she needed to pee too, and she squatted. And I noticed, and I was like, oh, she's different than I am. I pee standing, she peed squatting. Okay. And that was my first, I'm a boy, she's a girl type of thought. Right? But we get gender identified. And the fact is that consciousness is not male or female. You're born in a body, and most bodies are either XX chromosome or XY chromosome. And all bodies start female. Our Y chromosome in males starts functioning, starts triggering the production of certain hormones, and the organs that would normally be our ovaries migrate down and drop down and become our testicles. And the little bit of flesh that turns into a clitoris, urogenital opening for a girl grows and becomes a penis in a man. And it grows outward. And in the woman, there's an invagination that occurs that grows in, and there's an extra organ, and we have a prostate, and the woman has a uterus. So there's a physical gender that happens, but psychologically we get cut. You're a boy, you're a girl, you're supposed to think or feel in a certain way. And then we have a psychological gender, where we tend to be either more masculine or more feminine. But we have both. So that first division creates a first psychological cut. Then the lower part of the body is dirtier and yuckier, and the upper part of the body is cleaner and better. In this part of the world, the feet are dirty and bad, and the head is special and holy. In the West, it's not the feet so much, but the genitals are bad. There's guilt and shame attached to the sex organs, right? Does that make sense? And that starts dividing us. And it's the first of many, many divisions. And schizophrenia is when you have a division within yourself, and you're cut and you're separate from yourself. And then we have all these different personalities. So all of us are mad in the sense that our minds are running without stopping. And we don't know why. So it just keeps happening and we can't control it. And then we have divisions. We feel separate. We see ourselves as boy, girl, man, woman, masculine, feminine, male, female. And then we have different voices in our head. Voices of our parents, voices of our teachers, and then the voices of the different personalities that develop within us over the years. So we have multiple personalities, and we are schizophrenic, and we have minds that don't stop. And that's the default. Everybody's like that. Until you reconnect yourself, remember yourself, religate, reconnect, reintegrate yourself, and go, hey, I'm a thinking, feeling body that happens to have XY chromosomes, so it has these sexual body parts, right? And I tend to think in a more masculine way, but I can also think and feel in a feminine way. And I have a mind that doesn't stop, so I go and I unplug and disconnect and shut off all the apps so that it quiets down. And there's all these different voices, and I go and I get to know all the different voices so that I know who they are. And all the voices that don't belong to me, I escort them out of my mind, because I don't want the voice of my father in my head telling me what to do. or my mother, because they're not here to control me anymore. I have my voice, the voice of my head, right? The voice of my mind. And that's all I need to have. And it's a voice. It's not who I am, it's the voice of my mind. Right? Does that make sense? And unrepress yourself physically, emotionally, sexually, and accept the way that you are. And 99% of all of your challenges, issues, fears, insecurities, anxieties will start to melt away. Because they're the result of false and wrong ideas about our minds. And you're letting somebody else who went to a university and studied and got a degree tell you what's going on inside your mind. And all you need to do is sit somewhere quietly and map it out, and you can know for yourself. And as soon as you do and you clear it up, you realize that all these people with all these books, all these theories, all these degrees talking about what's right or wrong with the mind and what works and what doesn't work, they don't know how their mind works. So why would I listen to them? Right? Does that make sense? You can get to a place where you can find all the voices. I had 63 different voices in my head. I got to know them all, and they all realized that they're the same mind, so they stopped arguing and fighting against each other. Just like if this hand thought this hand was the enemy, it'd be like trying to fight it. But as soon as it realized, look, we're part of the same. Oh, okay, well, let's, hey, thanks. I'll give you a massage. Hey, I'll give you a massage. I'll scratch you. I'll scratch you. I'll clip your nails. I'll clip your nails. Hey, maybe together we can tie our shoelaces. Hey, yeah, great idea. It's much easier to tie your shoelaces when both hands are working on the same project, on the same team, because they will both want to go for a walk. If one hand doesn't want to go for a walk and the other hand wants to, same one leg wants to stay home and the other one, wants to go for a run. You're not going to get anywhere. You're going to be torn and cut and divided within yourself. And this is what's happening to us psychologically, is that we're all cut up by ideas that don't match reality. I don't care how many PhDs somebody has, and they try to tell me what's going on. Like, if they don't know how to be present from a state of no mind, they don't know what's real. This is the first question I have for anyone I ever encounter. Are you aware of moments when you're awake, relaxed, quiet, present, and your mind is off? And most people say no, and I know that they're not tracking reality consciously. And some people say, yes, that happens sometimes. And I know that they are, and those are usually the ones that are slightly healthier. Because the better you track reality, the better chances you have of being healthy. Right? Does that make sense? So, mapping out your mind is super important. So you're going to have thoughts about your body, everything that ever comes up. And just keep a notebook, or keep several notebooks, and have different sections. Right? Divide your notebook into 9-10 parts. And then use the first, one section for your thoughts about your body. Use a different section for thoughts about your emotions. Use a different section for thoughts about your mind. And all your thoughts about, am I healthy? Am I crazy? And how many voices do you have? And what personalities? And you go deeper into them. Like, there's a voice inside. And how old is it? Oh, well, there's me, the adult, and how old do you feel? Like in my 20s. And then there's a teenage voice somewhere. There's probably a voice of a 15-year-old somewhere, right? There's a 15 or 16-year-old girl, right? Right. When you enter puberty and you go through and you start becoming a woman, or you start turning into a man, there's a personality. You change. You're not one of the little kids anymore. You've got hair in funny places, and your body does strange things sometimes, right? But you're not the same person anymore, right? You're not the 5-year-old. There's a 5 or 6-year-old somewhere inside. There's a 2 or 3-year-old. There's a 6-month-old. Right? So you want to find little baby Maya and create a place for her to come out and play. And these parties are great because you can go out and you can put on glitter, and you see people with glitter, and they're wearing little wings and little horns, and now they're like unicorn butterfly fairies, and they're so cute. You just want to go and just give them a little hug and a kiss, right? And dance with them and play with them. But what personality and how old is that personality is an interesting question to ask yourself. Mapping out all the different parts of you. And then there's other parts that are interesting because there's archetypes. Like, for example, if you were a superhero, which superhero would you identify with? Are you Batman? Are you Superman? Are you Robin? Are you Spider-Man? Are you Wonder Woman? Are you Supergirl? Right? Are you Captain America? If you were a superhero, who would you be? If you were an animal, would you be a cat? Would you be a tiger? Are you more like a tiger or more like a wolf? Right? If you're a bird, are you more like an eagle, a hawk, an owl, a hummingbird? If you were a snake, would you be a snake? If you were a fish, would you be a dolphin? Right? Are you more like a mermaid, or are you more like an angel? Or there's part mermaid, part angel, right? Don't you have these different parts, the part of you that want to come out, right? And they're different psychological identifications. They're all the different egos that we have. We have many, many, many egos. We're identified. We see ourselves as many different beings. We have all the archetypes. We have our animal totems. I've got them tattooed on my body to be clear and remember them, to empower them. Right? Does that make sense? Because these are the different archetypes, the different personalities, the different aspects of who we are. And sometimes there's a part of us, like maybe the 12 or 13-year-old, that's in an argument with the 15 or 16-year-old part of our body. Of our mind. Right? So then when you start mapping them out, I'll share with you later techniques, things that you can do to start integrating. There's like parts therapy from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, where you get the 12-year-old in your left hand, and you imagine the 15 or 16-year-old within you, and you chunk up, you let them under, well, who am I? And why are you here? And why are you doing this? Well, I just want to have a happier, healthier life. That's why I'm doing things this way. Oh, well, I want to have a happier, healthier life. Oh, we both want to have the same happier, but can we work as a team? Then you start to consolidate yourself psychologically. It's normal that we have this. There's nothing wrong with us for having this. So most of us are in a state of multiple personality disorder. And disorder means that they're not working like a team. Like, imagine a football team where nobody knows whose team they're on. All they know is that they take the ball and they run with it and they kick and try to score a goal. And somewhere there's a referee with a whistle or a coach going, wait, stop, you idiot, you're going the wrong way. No, he's your teammate. You're supposed to be working like a team, right? And you want to go from having disordered all your multiple personalities, all the different aspects, all the different egos are all going in a different direction. Get them to come together. Create a round table. Create a space where you invite every one of your aspects, every part of you, and go, hey, look, we're part of a team. Just like a tree, if you cut it, it has rings in it. And all those rings are part of the tree. They're all necessary for that giant tree to grow, the giant sequoia or the big oak tree to grow. All those rings are part of it. So there's, psychologically, your mind is a structure. And there's a structure of who you were as a baby, as an infant. And then as a toddler, and then as a child, and then as a kid, and then as a teenager, and then as a young adult. Right? And you're going to find that some personalities are female, especially if you're a girl, but there's going to be a male voice inside of you. There's going to be a male personality somewhere. There's going to be male aspects. And with men, we're going to find that we have an inner feminine side, that we have a way of looking at the world that, because we're all masculine and feminine. Even though most men tend to be masculine males, but there are feminine males. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then most women tend to be feminine females, but then there's masculine females. And there's no problem with that. The only problem is if you don't know that you have access to all of it. Okay, so this is a male body and I accept that. So I'm not going to inject it with hormones or get a boob job because this is a masculine body. So it's a male body. So it's going to do what it does as a male body. And then my thoughts. Yes, I have predominantly masculine approach towards life. But there's a feminine side to me that is as equally important, right? I love this little joke of a guy who's at the therapist saying, I got in touch with my feminine side, this man, right? And he's like, but I did what you did, but how do I get her to stop slapping me? I had a lot of imprinted ideas and values from my culture that were misogynist. They were violent against women. There were ideas, there were things that I'd heard that I'm sure I've said as a child growing up. Things about being a man versus being a girl, or a boy or a girl. And I had to come to terms with that. I had to learn to accept myself as a body that has a consciousness that is neither male or female, but it's also both. So there's masculine qualities and feminine qualities. So you want to map out all your masculine qualities, and you want to map out all your feminine qualities. And some of those qualities, I'm going to put them in quotation, because some of them are going to be sort of negative. There'll be ideas about life. So you want to map them out and just be aware of it's what you have. It's where you are right now. It's the content of your mind. You'll have ideas also about race, about skin color, about class, social classes, right? If you're born into an upper class, you'll see yourself separate from the lower class. If you're part of the 1%, and if you're part of the 99%, then depending on how you're raised, you'll believe that you're entitled to what the 1% have made, right? You'll vote more socialist or more capitalist or more Democrat or more Republican. You're going to have all of these psychological differences. You're going to want to map these out because they're part of the landscape, the territory of your mind. How is it that I can talk about what's going on inside your mind? How do I know you have all these thoughts, all these feelings, all these different parts of you? Because I have them. I had them too. They're all there. I mean, I have them. I just don't. They're on the shelf in the library. Our minds are like. You go to a library. Imagine a library that was hit by an earthquake and a tornado. The books are everywhere. Right? So you go in there and it's a mess. And they're not just books, they're audio books too. So they're open to whatever page and they're talking, right? This book's talking and this book's talking. So you're like, you're going crazy inside your head. So what do? Shots of vodka. Okay, my mind has stopped, right? And you smoke a joint there. So now I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go into the library and I'm going to clean it up. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to grab the first book that's close to me. Pick it up, open it, look at it, and go, yes, this is the book about my emotions. I'm going to complete it, and I'm going to put it on the shelf in the section about anger with my mother. The story of my mother, right? It's an encyclopedia. These books go here. And then these other books. These are my stories about my body and my body imagery, and I'm unhappy because I don't have the muscles that everybody else has or whatever. So you read through that, you complete it, and you put that on the shelf. A million books later, your library is clean. It's quiet. All the books are on the shelf, and you haven't thrown them away. They're available to you. If you want to go back and remember the stories about your mother, you just go back and remember the stories about your mother, but they're not in a state of continual remembrance. You haven't forgotten them. They're just not in your RAM. They're not part of your continuous thoughts. Because anything that's open is there. Right? Or imagine having 1,000 TV screens, monitors, and each one is on a different show, a different movie, a different episode, and sometimes this one goes on, then this one goes on. Okay, it's this one. Let's finish watching this one. Click stop. You finish this episode of Game of Thrones, and then you stop. Right? Sometimes you can't just stop in the middle of the episode. It's like, but what's going to happen, right? So then you get to the point, and then it's, okay, now I can go to bed. Click. Right? Now you can go to sleep because you've got to a point where your mind goes, okay. And then the next day you're like, okay, well, now what happened? What happens in the next episode? And then after 2, 3, 4 seasons, you're like, okay, this is just repeating itself. It's getting boring. I really don't care what happens. And you close it up and you just drop it. Right? So do the same with your mind. They're all stories. We love stories. Our minds love to have stories. And they don't stop until your stories are complete. So for my mind to stop, I needed to complete my stories about life, the universe, and everything. once I completed all of my stories about what I need to understand about the life, about the universe, about whatever it is psychologically, I get it. I have a mental construct that makes sense. Tomorrow there'll be a new research paper on quantum physics that will help explain something or help confuse something some more. I'll figure it out then. But in the meantime, I don't have any more questions. I can put my questions on pause, right? I can stop this telenovela, this series that I'm on, because I've reached a point where I can now pause and go to bed. I'm going to reset it. And then I'm going to reboot my mind. And then if the new mind wants to pick up a question or start watching the episode again, then I have freedom to turn it back on. It's just I need to get to a place where the mind stops, where the mind is complete, right? And it's a little bit like, let's say you want to take some steps to go from the first floor to the second floor, right? So your weight has to be held at the bottom step, and then at the next step, and then at the next step, and then at the next step, and you work your way up, and eventually you get to the top, and you get off the steps. You get out of the stairway, and you're now on the second floor, right? Does that make sense? You don't need to step each level. You can step over certain levels. You can even skip steps, right? Your mind needs to be complete at all levels. Now, that's different for everyone. My mind was interested in science and trained scientifically from an early age. So I have lots of questions that I needed to answer about life, the universe, and everything. So I spent 20 years studying everything until I got to a place where I was like, okay, I get it. I really don't understand where the universe comes from, but I don't need to. I can accept that. First, emptiness is existential. Emptiness exists. Emptiness is something, infinite emptiness, forever, empty, space in all directions, is the one thing that cannot have a creator. Because then it wouldn't be empty. Nothing is just nothing. Nothing all by itself, silence and darkness and nothing, doesn't require anyone to create it. It just can be all by itself. Before there can be anything, there has to be infinite emptiness and nothingness, no thingness. I accept that. Psychologically, I'm capable of accepting that. So then from there, I can accept the studies in physics that show that if you use electromagnetic fields and magnetic fields and vacuums to create an empty space, that whenever we do that, something comes through, a photon comes through, a subatomic particle comes through, a quark comes through, and that you can accumulate these and make an electron, and accumulate more of these and make protons, and you can put electrons and protons together and make a hydrogen atom. If you have enough hydrogen atoms, you can make a sun, like our sun, you can make a star. And the right-sized star will start producing helium and carbon and nitrogen and oxygen, and that it will explode, and that other stars and all the heavy metals will be made, and that all the pieces of stardust can come together and create a planet like this one. And if a planet like this one is at the right distance from a sun like ours, there will be liquid water, there'll be vaporous water like clouds, and there'll be ice, and there'll be dirt, and there'll be minerals, and all of these can come together. And this is what amino acids are made of, and carbohydrates are made of, and fatty acids are made of, and vitamins. And you put all of these together, and you can have a living cell. And then billions of years later, here I am having a conversation about this. My mind can accept it. I just 10 steps, 12 steps, right? From nothing to everything, this mind can accept that. So then this mind doesn't have to ask any questions. Now, I could go and spend 50 years studying theoretical physics of, the green quark or whatever. And you can, and run your mind the entire, but I don't need to. For me, it's okay. I needed to have a certain step. So I studied physics and chemistry and biochemistry and biology and cell biology and organismal biology and human medicine and genetics and molecular biomechanics and all of these things in ecology, environment, and astrophysics. And suddenly, okay, I get it. The universe just happens by itself. That entire need to think about those things, I can put those on pause. Because I can always think about it again later. I can always bring it up, but I can put that part on pause, right? Next, this body. What does this body need? Well, this body likes to eat a certain amount of proteins, a certain amount of fats, a certain amount of sugars, a certain amount of coffee. It likes a certain amount of dancing, a certain amount of sex, a certain amount of play. It likes to fight a little bit. It can be happy, it can be sad, it can be angry. It can do things and feel guilty and naughty and bad. It can do things and feel great. So it navigates through life and figures out what it needs to do. It can find mates and partners and friends, right? It can make money. It can live. It can raise children. It can work. It can do all these things. It can love. It can hate. I can love you. I can hate you. I don't know. It just depends on the situation. I have no control over it. Be lovable and I'll love you. Be hateable and I'll hate you. It's not complicated. Be kissable, I might try to kiss you. Be punchable, and if you come close enough, I might try to punch you too. So come close. Would you like a hug or a punch? Right? A kiss or a bite? It just depends. Right? Does that make sense? And then I accept that, and I accept all of that. So then this mind has nothing to think about. And when it has nothing to think about, it shuts itself and resets itself immediately. Because it's out of date, and it knows it's out of date. So all I'm inviting you to do is to do this for yourself however that works. Now, Jantra is different because my path was the path of awareness. I needed to be aware of and study everything. I needed to understand everything about life, the universe, and everything. Not just the funny Douglas Adams book and movie of life, the universe, and everything, but according to me, life, the universe, and everything according to me. And I have a clear story with a beginningless beginning and an endless end. And I accept the entire process. So I don't need to, why am I here? What's the meaning of life? And there's no meaning to life. You just live life and you can give whatever meaning you want to it. Why? Well, it's what's happening, right? Now, other people are different. You need to decide in this process, you're going to have to figure out which is your path. Some people, like me, my mind won't stop until it has no more questions, and then it stops. Other people, like Jantra, she doesn't need to understand anything. She can just accept. Her path is through her heart. She can just accept everything the way that it is. And later she'll ask, well, what about this? And after she was clear and she came up to me and said, so, where did the earth come from? Like, how does this all work? It's like, oh, well, let's watch a movie. Let's read a book. Here's a book on this and that. But that came afterwards. She could just accept it. So she had to open her heart and accept all the bad things that happened to her. And she accepted that they could happen because it's what happened. Later she understood that, well, it happened because the people that did it to her were sick. Crazy, virus infected, it happened to them, they passed it on. Just like if tomorrow somebody catches the coronavirus, they might pass it to somebody else. Or the flu, or the measles, or the chicken pox, or, right? People will go out there and hurt, and like studies have been done, and 99%, 100% of all the people who are serial murderers, rapists, violent people, it happened to them when they were little. They learned how to do that when they were little. And they're stuck in an autopilot mode, and that's what they're doing. Does that mean what they're doing is acceptable? No, it's unacceptable what they're doing, but the cause for it is acceptable. Okay, so you need help. You need to clear your mind. There's something wrong with you. This is why you're violent. Right? Does that make sense? So you are either going to need to understand everything to the last detail and go out and get a PhD in something, or read all the books and figure it out. Or you're going to go, there's people figuring it out. All that matters is that I have access to clean food, clean water, safe electricity. Right? And I can figure myself out on what do I need to know about life, the universe, and everything. Ultimately, what it came down to was one day just realizing, I just want to be happy. I just want to be free. What do I need to know to be happy and free? Just what do I got to do? You have to clear your thoughts. You have to clear your emotions, and you got to be in a healthy body. That's it. Yeah, and then you got to decide how much money you're going to live with, because living happy and free with $10 a day is different than living happy and free with $1,000 a day. Because with $10 a day, I can go hang out in Wainam and right? Pass a joint, and go to Goa and buy some beaded things and sell them to somebody in Ubud, and then buy something in Ubud, and then sell it to somebody in Chiang Mai, and then bring that here to, right? And trade it with someone. I'll find friends, I'll find lovers, I'll find someone who'll teach me how to slackline or hula hoop or poi, fire poi. Right? I get more tattoos, right? Does that make sense? I'll find my goddess and we'll have indigo unicorn babies. Right? So I can do that on $10 a day. There's other things I can do on $100 a day. There's other things I can do on $1,000 a day. And with $1 million a day, I could really, really change a lot of things on this planet, help a lot of people. So I'm interested in going to the $1 million a day. And other people are interested in, whoa, but if I could do it with $1 a day, I'd be happier. I mean, great, go be happy with $1 a day. I don't have a problem with that. I want happy people at all levels. I want happy $10 a day people, and I want happy billionaires. Imagine what the world would be like if people could just healthy in their bodies, clear with their emotions, have minds that are working for them. Concierge. This what's happening in here is I have the ultimate butler concierge. Go out and figure out how to have the best possible life. Servant. This body, how are we going to get from here to here in the best possible way? I want to get from here to there. Yeah, but it needs to be yummy and fun. What's the best way I can get from here to there? That's what I need to think about. And I have a mind that can think almost 24/7 for years at a time. So, because that's what it did for years at a time. It was just trying to figure itself out. Right? So you can figure yourself out. Does that make sense? Yeah? So there's going to be, to sum up, there's going to be two paths. One path is going to be, you're going to have to map out everything in your mind, and you're going to have to clear your emotions. But you might find, which is why the first I say is get your body healthy, feed it what it needs. If you're not sure, experiment. Give it a little piece of something you've never eaten before. We have this game that we play here with Nampu, and I've been playing it for a very long time, which is every once in a while we eat something that we don't like, just to experience it and check in, because maybe you might like it. Like I remember being a kid and hating raw tomatoes and mushrooms and onions and right? Olives, yeah, sure. And then later, boy, they're yummy, right? So we do that with Nampu, and we're like, okay, let's eat something disgusting. What's the worst thing? It's so bitter. Okay, and then you eat it, and you're like, wow, it's just so incredibly bitter. That's just horrible. Wow, incredible. Yum. Okay, right? And then something else, and you just accept the fact that it can be horribly bitter or incredibly sour, or just there's some jungle foods with fermented fish that are really strong for me. You know, John Nampu loved them. But I always eat a little bit. I always put a little bit in my mouth. I can eat a little bit of everything. I can enjoy all the flavors because I can appreciate something that's incredibly bitter or sour and my face goes, and I let it. What's the big deal? I'm just having fun. I'm laughing at it. I'm not suffering, but wow, you eat that, incredible. Right? Just like you put a chili in your mouth, you're like, somebody puts 10 chilies in their mouth. Okay? So it's a question of knowing your full range. Just accepting for what it is. So if you can just accept without needing to know, then you get to that point first. Later, you'll need to figure out what you need to figure out if you want to have a functional mind. Okay? Because you're going to need to, in the world of today, we live in a world where you need to generate a certain amount of money. You need some cash flow, especially if you want to be able to buy good food, healthy food. And for me, my creativity and my ingenuity and my capacity to depends on my environment. The richer my environment, the richer my creativity. So I thrive, I survive with very little. To survive, I just need, I don't know, what do I need? I just need a backpack, a pocket knife, simple things. To live, I need a little more. To thrive, I need flowers and art and music and tools and So that's up to each person to determine for themselves.